Alright, I've had a few of you guys having some trouble typing in math symbols when you're working on Blackboard, so I'm going to show you real quick some of the ways you can get the symbols that you need to use in Blackboard. So you can see right here I've typed in line segment CD is congruent to line segment AB, and that's something that a lot of you guys are having difficulty doing, so I'm going to show you how to do that. This is something you can do when you're looking at the content editor, which looks like this. You have a text box along with some tools and stuff on the top of it. If you're not sure what something does, the good thing about this is if you hover your mouse over it, it'll tell you what it is. So in this case, what we want is this one right here, this F sub X, which if you hold your mouse over it, says Launch Math Editor. So I'm going to delete this and show you how we got that. So if you click Launch Math Editor, it should open a little window like this. And right now we are on the first tab, which it says is the General tab. And they show you some things here that are some common things that people use when they're typing in math. For instance, a ratio. You might need to be able to type a ratio like 3 to 4. Or you might need to set up a proportion. You might say the distance between A and D is proportional to the distance between C and F. Or you might need to be able to use it in order to set up some proportion like this. Another way you could do it is by using this one, but we prefer you use this one here, the regular fraction looking one. We also have square roots here if you need to enter your answer as a square root of 53 or something like that. We also have exponents here if you want to be able to show that 2 to the third power is equal to 8, for instance. So that'll probably get you through most of the things you need that for. There's a few symbols on this first page that are also going to be useful to you. But for geometry, the most useful one is probably this one right here, which is the character for pi. So if you want to have 24 times pi, you could use that button to do that. The other tabs here show you some other things that are useful for math. In the next tab, you're going to see some more math symbols, and you can see at the end of each section there's a little rightward pointing arrow, and that's because there's more that are not necessarily shown here. So for instance, you see equals and you see congruent here, but you might want to do is not equal to, and that's not here. That's because if you press this arrow, you can see there's more characters continued, so you can say is not equal to. A couple more on here. There's some very familiar symbols from logic. Here is your and, here is your or, and if you press the arrow here, you can get therefore, which is those 3 little dots. Next to that, we've got the symbol for angle, so you can say angle ABC, for instance. You also have some symbols for is parallel to or is perpendicular to, and there's also is not parallel to as well, if you need that for some reason. On the next tab over, you have a rightwards arrow, which you can use if you're doing P implies Q. So you can type in P and then rightward arrow, Q. So if P, then Q. Or if you're doing a biconditional, you can say P if and only if, Q, like that. The other symbols that are on here are good for some of the geometric line segments or lines that you might need. So this is a good symbol, for instance, ray AB, that arrow that only points in one direction. Or you might have something like line, GH, or you might have something like line segment, CD. Now I did line segment CD, but notice that I can also type the numbers that are letters that are not under the line. So right now I'm under the line. So for instance, if I did the congruent symbol, I would still be under that line. So I want to make sure I get out from that first. So I'm going to use my keyboard or my mouse to make sure I'm moused out from there. So I can do is congruent to, and then I can do another one of those, is congruent to line segment AB, for instance. The next tab is showing you some Greek letters, which you probably won't need very much except for pi, and that's also on the first tab. The next one's matrices, which you won't really need so much for geometry for the most part. The next one shows you some more symbols that we saw on the first page actually. Here's your fraction again, your square root, as well as some exponents. And the next one that says decorations tab, that's again where you can find things like arrows, line segments, things like that if you need it. Now, whenever you're finished typing in whatever you need, if you click accept, it should just go ahead and insert that into your text box. Alright, if you have any other questions, send me an email or give me a call and let me know. Thanks.